Everyone, meet Alfie. Alfie, meet everyone. He's my parents' puppy and he has the hiccups. Oh my god, that's so cute. Hey Spuds, how's it going? I hope you're well, and now that the cute moment is over and you've met the puppy, it's time to talk about something that's not so cute. Gender dysphoria. For those of you who are not sure, gender dysphoria is defined as the distress a person feels due to the mismatch between their gender and their assigned birth sex. Now, I experienced a lot of distress over the fact that my assigned birth sex was different to my gender, one being female and one being male. And I started my transition a little over 8 years ago, and my transition involved socially transitioning, testosterone, top surgery, lower surgery, everything like that, all the boxes ticked. Not that everybody has to do all the boxes, but that's just what I did. So taking testosterone, top surgery, it was all to help get rid of, or at least partially get rid of and sort out gender dysphoria that I was experiencing. But throughout my transition, what I've also realized is that gender dysphoria is not always just alleviated, but it shifts, or it like manifests in a different way, or the focus of it or the primary trigger of it moves to different things as you transition. So going back to the beginning, my dysphoria focused on, well, everything. It wasn't focused, it was just a whole big mess of like, I hate myself and my body, feeling trapped in my body, and just everything from my voice to my face shape to my hands to my feet to my hips to my, just everything, just no. And it wasn't just physical things, it was also things like getting misgendered and hearing my birth name, not even just in relation to myself, although in relation to myself was the worst, but just hearing it could cause me to feel like immensely uncomfortable. So it's not always just physical. There's social aspects and psychological aspects and etc. things like that. Basically, it was a difficult time to be me and a difficult time to be in my body. That sounds a little bit weird. I hope it makes sense. My body was just not a happy place for me to be living inside of. Okay, so at that time, at the very beginning of my transition, I was doing like the social transition-y things, changing my name, changing documents, using new pronouns, all of that stuff. But I was also very obsessively focused on starting testosterone. And testosterone was really the first thing that fully helped with getting rid of my dysphoria and helping me feel better about it. Doing some social things definitely made me feel more comfortable and being like, I'm living as myself, but like, I still feel really uncomfortable with myself and this is horrible. So testosterone really kickstarted the whole physically feeling better, or feeling better because of physical changes. That's a better way to put it, that makes sense. So pretty much all the physical changes you can see on my body were caused by testosterone. So hair loss, hair gain, like facial hair and body hair. Look at my hairy chest, I don't know if you can see it, I'm probably too low down. Body shape change, being a bit more muscular, and I say a bit more because it's really not that much. Gaining a bit more weight, again because it's not that much. Oh, actually I worked out the other day and I've gained about 2 stone on testosterone, so not bad. What else has it changed? Just the way my face looks as well. My nose has gotten bigger. Not the best thing, but I'm not going to complain because it all works. My eyebrows, like even my eyebrows and even my hands look a bit different. Like literally everything. Testosterone is so powerful. Adam's apple, this thing, hello. And I personally have not been misgendered since I was about 4 months on testosterone, because it was mostly my voice that caused me to not be read as male. I mean, I was always read as like very young, but mostly my voice then gave me away when I spoke, obviously because that's when you hear a voice. And so my voice broke properly at 4 months, and that's when the misgendering stopped. And when that stopped, it helped a lot with dysphoria because it's like a huge trigger if somebody refers to you as the wrong gender. It's like, oh. And then talking of voice drop, that was another huge thing that helped reduce my dysphoria. I avoided speaking to both friends and strangers. I would not like answer questions in classes and stuff because I didn't want people to hear me speak. It was something I was like deeply uncomfortable about, and I just was a very quiet, introverted person, even more so than I am now. And my voice dropping kind of gave me this new sense of freedom, like I could actually speak. And so that was like a huge thing for me, and that was like the main thing testosterone has done that has helped with my dysphoria. For me, the other things that really help with testosterone, like facial hair, body shape changes, gaining a bit of weight, like being a bit more muscular, again saying a bit more because it's really not that much, took a little bit of time for me. Like my beard was like 2.5 to 3 years before it started coming in, and it's still filling in now. And my body shape took a good couple years to really start changing as well. So those things kind of came later for me in terms of testosterone alleviating my dysphoria. But what came before that is top surgery, because I had top surgery when I was around 7 months on testosterone, and that made a huge difference in my life. Like I cannot describe the difference it made to me to get top surgery. I had a lot of dysphoria over my chest. It was probably the most, if not the most, like the thing for me. And I became very obsessed with getting top surgery the moment I started testosterone. I was always like, I want top surgery, I want it now. But I had like the focus of starting T and then the excitement that I started T, and then after like a week I was like, okay, I need top surgery now. And I was very impatient and I was so obsessed, and I don't like thinking about that time because it was not the most pleasant, it was not easy. But then I got top surgery, huge deal, loved it, so happy, took a while to heal. It wasn't until it was healed that I really felt like the full effects. But it was kind of as soon as it was done, there was that relief that it's done, it's happened, oh my god, I can move on with my life from this bit. And then once it was fully healed, I just felt this sense of freedom. I can't think of any other way to describe it. And at that point, my dysphoria started to become fairly minimal compared to how it was before. My voice had broken, I'd had a few like physical and body changes. My face had changed a bit in the first 7 months as well, and then I no longer had the chest. I didn't have to bind. It was how I wanted it to be and how I saw myself. There were still a few things like body shape, and my hands were still a thing for me, and I wanted a beard and stuff like that. The beard thing was more of a want though, and I was definitely still too uncomfortable to go shirtless very much, and certainly in public, because of my waist and my hips. So yeah, after that, most of my dysphoria was focused on my body shape. I still felt very curvy. I also felt very fragile because I was very skinny and I did not weigh very much at all. I could blow away in the wind. Saying that, there was actually a joke that people used to make about my weight. It's not funny. And then I guess a big thing to mention, or maybe not so big thing, is bottom dysphoria. It was always something I had, but it was never something that was as bad as any of the other things that I felt dysphoric about. So it wasn't as bad as my voice, nowhere near as bad as my chest. I felt so much more comfortable with myself, and my dysphoria was like after top surgery, that I just chilled out about transitioning and surgeries, and I gave myself a few years off. I had a break, but my bottom dysphoria kind of gradually started to grow and bother me more and became something I thought about more and more, so I pursued lower surgery. And I had metoidioplasty, first stage in January 2018, and I just had my last stage 4 months ago. I think it's like 4-ish months ago. And yeah, the difference that it's actually made to how I feel about myself is much bigger than I thought it would be. It's been pretty huge actually. Like the freedom of feeling like you can just chill out naked and see yourself naked in the mirror and not hate it is amazing. And ever since getting lower surgery, I have felt very little dysphoria, and really I kind of almost want to say no dysphoria. It's also because it's like the more comfortable I become with other aspects and like the larger aspects that cause me dysphoria, the less uncomfortable I become with the smaller things, because it's almost like they don't matter as much anymore. And that might sound really weird and not make sense, but that's the only way I can think of describing it. So now, nearly 8 years on testosterone, I'm like 2 months away from 8 years on T, over 7 years post-op and 4 months done with lower surgery, I pretty much have no dysphoria, / no dysphoria at all. And every stage, right from socially transitioning to bottom surgery, and now just very recently getting my gender recognition certificate, which legally changes my gender, and my sex on my birth certificate is now male and everything. Wow, every single stage has reduced my dysphoria more and more. I've gone from feeling dysphoric pretty much head to toe to being able to maybe come up with 2 things that potentially cause me very mild dysphoria occasionally. Sorry if the lighting is really bad in this video. I'm at my parents' because I'm dog sitting. That's why you got to see the cute puppy, but I didn't bring my lights over. I'm trying to make it brighter in here, but it's difficult. So in terms of like the 2 very minor little things that I am potentially dysphoric about, the first is still my hips. I'm still uncomfortable about it. I still sometimes avoid going shirtless in front of other people because I feel like my hips are quite large, and it's mostly because I think proportionately, I know my shoulders are wider than my hips, but I think my chest is not wider than my hips, although measurement wise it is, but I don't see it as being wider than my hips. So I get uncomfortable that I look very like bottom heavy. I'm like telling myself it's not a trans thing, and I'm starting to see it as not a trans thing, so I would not put it down to like causing me dysphoria, but it's just something I'm uncomfortable with still. Then the second thing is really super duper random and weird and very minute, but my hands, which kind of look a bit weird right now because they always go so dry in winter, even though I moisturize them. But my hands have always caused me dysphoria, and it used to be like quite bad in the beginning because I was like, oh, they're so delicate, my fingers are so thin, everybody says I should play piano and I have such dainty hands, and it just made me hate them so much. They've kind of gotten like a little bit thicker and veinier, and they just look different to how they did before, a bit chunkier. But Now, there's just the occasional thing that happens that still makes me go, oh, I hate my hands, they're so delicate. The first is when people comment on it. And this happened recently when Sharp and I were looking at wedding bands. This guy just kept going on about how thin my fingers were and how delicate my hands were, and I was just like, shut up. I didn't say that, but it just made me feel very uncomfortable. And I was like, please stop talking about it. I'm not gonna get rings from you now because you've made me feel horrible about my hands. And then the second thing is when I shake hands with a guy with big hands, and I'm just like, oh, your hands are so much bigger than mine and I'm uncomfortable. Should my hands be that big? Yeah, it's really random and it very rarely pops up, but just occasionally I think about it. So yeah, that is my dysphoria, start to finish, end to top to bottom, bottom to top, and end to other end. Testosterone, top surgery, bottom surgery, got rid of an element of dysphoria, made me feel more comfortable. Not everybody will have the same experience with transitioning, and obviously not everybody will do the same stages of transitioning as me. Transitioning is different, every trans person is different, people do what they feel they need to do, and not everybody will experience dysphoria in the same way as me. This is just my experience, not talking for anybody else or the trans community as a whole. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you could learn more. I just really wanted to talk about dysphoria because I get asked about it a lot, whether I still have it, and really, in conclusion, I would probably say no, not really. There's not really anything that makes me go, oh, dysphoria. It's just more like, oh, I'm not so keen on that thing about myself, but it's not really linked to gender or transness or dysphoria or anything. Let me know what you think about this video, let me know your thoughts on this topic and how certain stages of transitioning have helped your dysphoria or how you're feeling about things now. And yeah, as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Think about giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And I will see you next time. Much love, bye! I'd let Alfie say goodbye, but he's playing in the garden, so I'm just gonna leave him to it. You saw him at the beginning, he's very cute. Comment down below if you like the cute dog. I think that's worth liking the video alone. Just like it for Alfie. Bye guys, bye 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 bye.